up a guitar.
Where are your sunglasses?
That's a great question. They're in there. It's not my swag, but he makes it. No, I'm good. What? It's Friday, right?
Yes.
Wow, this is awesome. Don't you guys have work? That's awesome, dude. Congratulations.
Welcome back to Nashville, man.
Thank you so much. I'm really, really happy to be here. I love Nashville.
It's a nice...
The culture that is embodied here. I love how y'all love and support real music, real artists. I love that rock and roll has not taken a back seat here. And it means a lot to be able to do what we seem to be trying to do, which is take rock and roll and contextualize it in 2019 in so many different ways, both in what it is that we're talking about, but also what it sounds like. So having a station like you guys supporting it and making it so that when we come to town, we have some people that know what it is we're trying to do here, and just having the support makes it an easy city to come back to.
We're more than just honky tonks and Gretel operating.
Yeah, who would have thought, you know? But that really is, I think, for a lot of people, the perception. And every time that we've come here, we came with a dude called Hobo Johnson, which is like an awesome alternative hip hop project. We came with Nothing But Thieves, which is like rock and roll in your face, woo indeed. And so it's just, it's been a place where we've had the opportunity to speak to different crowds and contextualize it in different ways. And either way that we get to do this and have some people come onto our grandma's couches and rock out, it is not lost on me or on anybody involved how grateful we are to be able to do
Funny
this.
you should mention that, because these all belong to previous co-workers' grandmothers. So
Really?
Yes.
It's like a grandma fund.
Yes. That one right there was mine.
How did that, what's the story there? I guess that's the story.
That is the story.
Cool, good story.
That's all you need to know anyway.
Cool.
Yeah. But so it's a nice warm welcome into Nashville, because you got a sold out show at the Basement East
We
tonight.
do!
This isn't the first time that you sold out the Basement East either, so.
This is the first time we've ever headlined in Nashville, period, but we've played in Basement East 3 times. This is our 3rd time. Both times that we've played in Nashville before as openers were at Basement East. And there are 3 green rooms in the back of Basement East that get progressively smaller and less fun to sit in. And we're kind of moving up the green room hierarchy. Now we got the big one. It's like, woo! Put my stuff down, the opener. I'm like, get in the closet, get out of here.
Pretty soon you can start making those ridiculous requests, like I need
All
exactly
day.
26 pieces of dentine ice gum.
You know, it's like that Batman quote. It's like die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. When I think when I did my first opening tour, there were, this is like half bullshit, but half serious. There are things about being an opener versus being a headliner that I was like, why is everyone like giving us such a hard time if I want to trash the stage and do this and that? I thought it was art. I thought it was about the fans. And now that we're headlining it, there's just so many more variables to account for, and there's a whole crew, and it's got to go a particular way, and you end up becoming that same artist that you used to think was like so corporate and lame. So we're selling out. That's what I'm trying to say.
Does anybody have tickets to the show tonight?
No.
I know a couple people.
She does.
1,
see
2.
See y'all in the back.
I know
That's
there's
it.
more than that. I know there's more
You
than that.
should sell me somebody in here.
Don't be shy. Yeah. All right.
Okay, well, we got a show right now for you, so that's
Exactly. Well, we'll get into the show a little bit more, but I know that you've got a couple songs that you want to share with us.
cool. You sure you don't want to just keep talking about catches?
I mean, I don't need to say a word. You're just running with it here.
I would talk to you more, but I think I just turned my microphone on.
Turn that mic off. We can just have a conversation.
Let's do it.
There are a lot of people, and it's not that in the room.
We might have beer in here somewhere if you want beer. Just let us know.
No, I actually don't. I don't really drink beer before shows because it dries your voice out, but I do drink whiskey. But not at 3 p.m. in general. Sometimes, but it's just not a good thing. I think that a little bit is good because it can help with the nerves, but then sometimes you're like genuinely tipsy on stage and there's like a bunch of people sitting there and you're just like, what is going on? So the less I enable that zoning out. But
That's before the show, but what about after the show?
it depends. It's like kind of a marathon, not a sprint when you're on tour. I think that that's another one of those things that when we were openers and I was only doing 5 songs a night and we were just getting trashed, it was like, look at all these nerds not drinking, like, haha. But then when you really start taking this thing seriously and my intention is to do it for a long time, it becomes it can be debilitating. It can really set you back, particularly as the singer, because you can tell when I've been drinking the night before. My voice sounds kind of like shit. I kind of sound like Tom Waits or something with the gravel, you know. And then the other guys must be nice, you know. But discipline is good. You gotta love something enough to lose something, I think. So it's okay. I'm probably gonna turn up tonight because we're in Nashville, but we do have a show tomorrow, so you gotta think about the people in Atlanta before you get all turned up in Nashville, you know.
Have you been able to like establish any of your favorite like bars, restaurants, anything like that while you're in town?
Yes, and I can't remember the name of any of them. But there's this one that we always go to. Yeah, there's this like they do like little sliders. Maybe someone in the crowd knows, but it's like they're like all really weird flavors, like cream cheese and bacon burgers and like fig jam. It's weird. It's
fried Oreo, right?
And they do fried Oreos. Is that a thing like around Nashville? That's a thing? Wow. Must be nice.
I know the fried Oreos place would be Jack Brown's.
Maybe.
Or
That sounds
Slaughterhouse.
right.
Yeah.
I think it was the first one. I have no idea. I was really not in a remembering kind of mindset the last time I was there. But food was awesome. Food is really awesome here in general. But yeah, it's another thing. It's like sometimes I want to just eat gluttonous, especially when we come through Nashville or we go further south. It's like, oh, you gotta have a whole fried chicken for lunch, like, and then you're standing there and you're like, what did I do that for? So
I think we've all gained 10 pounds ever since we've moved to
it's
Nashville.
tough. It's
Any
really tough.
transplants are in here.
I think that,
Yes.
yeah, just discipline in general is just really hard on your body, on your mind. But if you're doing a lot of traveling, if you're doing a lot of just being in front of people, and especially trying to be vulnerable, like I really, we really want to give an authentic experience each time we do it, and just be real up here. But to do that, you have to kind of not eat like shit and treat your body like shit. So, but it's hard. It's hard.
Personally, I'm still working on that.
A1 problems.
It's just one of those things that when you're in the South, it's just kind of what happens.
Yeah, I think so. I also think that, I don't know where I got this in my head, but I feel very, very lucky that you guys have supported the different songs, that you guys seem to like some of the songs. Like, I think that has a lot to do with just being in the right place at the right time. But I also think that it's important once you get luck like that, when you meet somebody special, when you get a special opportunity for your career or whatever it is, I think it's important to meet that feeling of luck with like deliberate effort, you know? I don't know who taught me that. I think it was my dad or something. But like when you get lucky, that's when we work hard. That's not time to just like coast. That's like the time to do the work. So now that we get to come headline this venue that we've, you know, opened a bunch of times, it's like I want to come in with my mind right. You know, I don't want to come in burping up chicken 6 shots deep.
Why not?
Anyways, yeah.
Well, you mentioned the songs, and we've been playing all of them, Bloodwater and Apologize.
Yeah, that's the new one. Have you guys heard it on the radio yet? That's fucking
I was gonna say, if
awesome.
anybody says no.
Yeah, get out.
But yeah, you have A Modern Tragedy Volume 1 and 2 out, right? Okay.
Big time.
I've been burned on Wikipedia, so thank you, Wikipedia, for not burning me that
shouts out. Yeah, we just dropped Volume 2 in February, and I was really, really excited to do that, and I was really proud of it. So, yeah, it's good stuff.
It's a little, I don't want to say angry, but it's like one of those things
absolutely
like...
angry, we can say that. I think it's angry, but I also think that maybe more so than Volume 1, I felt like when I wrote the first project, it was this like progressive manifesto on creating a more inclusive, accountable space in rock and roll. To be like, we touched on a lot of different themes in Volume 1, be it the opioid epidemic or climate change, or, you know, there were so many different things that I felt it was important to have an opinion on and express that opinion. And I think after I spent more time on the road, I really got humbled to how little I actually know about some of these themes, and really just how complicated and deeply entrenched some of these issues are in America. And the audacity for me as like a 20-something kid to come in and tell a bunch of people how they should be living their lives. And I think that experience really, I wanted to, with Volume 2, add a little more nuance and maybe bring some of that, a little more of that humility and a little less ego into these spaces, and still provide a sense of urgency and catharsis for people that are frustrated and fed up with the climate around them or what they read on the news. But maybe I'd like to think that Volume 2 had a little bit more of my own struggles with temptation and vice, and maybe it left a little more room to interpretation for different people to feel different feelings. You know, I don't want it to be like you have to think one way to be a fan of this project. That was never my intention, but we still wanted to, you know, express opinions. Now more than ever, I think it's important here in rock and roll, here in Nashville. And when I go outside of just the coast, you know, when we get away from LA or New York, where these sorts of belief systems are so already entrenched, and I get to come into a place like Cleveland that has been ravaged by the opioid epidemic. You go to a place like Detroit that has been ravaged by automation and outsourcing of jobs, and you provide people with a place to just mosh and get mad without necessarily vilifying any one type of person. And when we try and instill in people the idea that the line between good and evil is not outside of us, behind a wall, it's not some insidious person coming to take your job and whatever, it's the line between good and evil is in all of us. We all have to make that decision, who we hold accountable and how we move forward in a changing world. Those are the sorts of themes that we bring to the project, that I try to bring on stage. And what's more fulfilling than that, when you meet people that are listening to that and that need that voice that they didn't otherwise have on the radio or, you know, on their Instagram feed. It's just like, it's work that feels worth doing.
Whew. Can I get an amen?
Sorry. got heat there.
With all that emotion in a couple EPs, does that mean we're gonna get a full-length album here?
That's a good question. I don't know what I'm supposed to say because I don't have the answers. But basically, there are like these people in suits that sit in a tall building in New York City and tell me what I'm allowed to do. But no, the intention with Modern Tragedy and like the whole EP series was I wanted to do an introduction. I wanted to just introduce some of the themes that are important, I think, for me right now and what this project is going to be. And then, so there might be 1 or 2 more volumes, but I have a feeling people are getting antsy for a longer, more cohesive body of work. And I've got a couple of things that are up my sleeve that we've been working on, a couple of cool collabs and shit. So it's gonna be exciting. Just don't go anywhere. Even though I talk a lot, please don't go anywhere. Cool. Thanks.
So how stoked were you when you found out you were gonna be playing Woodstock this year?
Wow. Fucking stoked. Sorry. I was really, really excited. It meant a lot to me. Both what Woodstock represents and what it represented. I have like a kind of personal connection to it because my father actually tried to go to Woodstock in '69. So my dad's turning 70 this year. So my dad was 20 or 19 at the time. And he and a bunch of friends smoked some weed and like hopped in the car and were driving to Woodstock. But there were these mudslides that like engulfed the highway on the way over, and their car actually got trapped in those mudslides. And after trying to get in, they gave up, and they just turned around and were like, "We'll just go listen on vinyl and pretend that we were there." And now a generation later, his son is playing on Woodstock. Like, it's just a really special experience for me and for my relationship to my father, and I'm really excited, and I got a couple of things planned for it already. I don't know how much, we're probably gonna only be up there for like 15 minutes, but we're gonna make every minute up there count. I'm really looking forward to it.
Who are you most excited to see at Woodstock? Because I mean, the lineup is insane. But...
Yeah, the lineup's wild. I'm really looking forward to seeing Robert Plant, because like Led Zeppelin was hugely influential on me, and I'm also curious, like, what does a rock show feel like 50 years later? You know, we've only been touring for about a year now, a year and a half, and it's still really fun. And I imagine it's fun for him, but I'm just curious at that point, like, how do you show up for it, and is it different? And hopefully I can steal a picture with him so I can flex on the gram. We're gonna find out. So that'll be cool. Santana. I'm really excited for the Fever 333. I don't know if you guys are on them, but they're an incredible band. And their live show just looks like an absolute, like, they're like punching through their drum kit and like all this gnarly stuff. I'm a student of the game first and foremost. Like, I'm a fan of music. I wouldn't be here if if we weren't. So we always talk when we're on a festival lineup of who else is playing, and I'm trying to learn, you know, I'm trying to be better than everybody else, you know, so, but I can't do that without knowing that I don't know shit, so I'm excited.
What is the best concert you've ever been to?
As an audience member, I don't know. I went to a really cool festival when I was about 19, 20 called Osheaga Festival. It's in Montreal, Canada, and it was a really eclectic lineup. There was like Kendrick Lamar, and then it was like Grammatic, which is hip hop but with guitars, and then it was Disclosure, which is a dance group, and then it ended with like Mumford and Sons. So it was just this really weird lineup that like somehow was tailored to my weird preference. And I just remember it affirmed to me that I really wanted to do this. So that festival always stands out to me. My favorite show that I've seen recently was actually a dude called Rain Wolf. I don't know if he's coming to Nashville on his tour. Someone knows him. I heard a whistle. Crazy live set. Dude is bananas. So that one was good. I really love the guys that are touring with us on this project. We got a kid named Des Rocks, who's like some real rock and roll. It's such an exciting time for rock and roll. Maybe I'm biased because I'm part of it, but there's some really cool acts in alternative rock, in modern rock that are bringing it back to what it once was, and yeah, so a lot of cool shit. Any bands that have come through Nashville recently that you guys really held on to? Anybody? Anybody see a cool concert recently? No? You guys should have come to my concert, but you didn't get tickets.
Hour last night.
It's sold out. We
Who was
tried.
Hour last night.
What was that?
Hour last night.
Hour last night? That
Yeah.
sounds cool. I'm gonna check it out.
They're pretty good.
What? Nothing.
Yeah, we had Metallica.
Oh, really? Did they come through?
Less than 2 months ago, yeah.
I've never heard of them. What is that?
Who were they?
That's his favorite band.
I like the little ambiance going on, yeah.
Whenever Ramon soundchecks, he always soundchecks the Metallica song. Or that. I thought that was Metallica song.
Yeah.
Does anybody else in the audience have any questions?
Anyways, yeah, by all means, do this.
So, big fan.
Thanks,
I
man.
love the song "Bury Me Face Down,"
Sick.
and it's one of my favorites. I want to know the inspiration behind that song.
Yeah, I'd be happy to tell it to you. Well, the way that song really first got started was, it was at the very beginning of the project, obviously. We only had one song out and no one knew what was happening here. And there was a rumor floating around that there was this television show that was looking for a theme song. It was that show Shooter, if you've heard of that show. They were looking for a theme song. And someone asked, like, do you guys have any, like, defiant, just songs that make someone run through a brick wall? That was, like, what they were looking for. And I was like, no, but I'll write one. And I didn't really know where to start with it. I'm a big fan of Quentin Tarantino and, like, Tarantino movies in general. And I think that, like, Kill Bill had just come on or something. I was watching Kill Bill. And I remember when she was doing, like, the one-finger punch. And it was funny to me that if they had buried her face down and she had broken through, then it was like, just the idea that you can just be, you can be counted out, but still, if there's a will, there's a way. I just wanted to kind of encapsulate that feeling. And it was a combination of, like, Kill Bill meets, like, I imagined, like, what, like, the Salem witch trials would have looked and felt like. Just this idea of, like, this one warlock with, like, the medieval flaming arrows and stuff. I don't know, guys. I try to write, like, with a really visual, like, I like seeing it in my head. So I think that was where that one came from. And then we were like, what do you guys think? And they didn't use the song as their theme song. And I was like, we're gonna put it out anyways, because I think it's pretty cool. They did put it in an episode, though. And then the song came out, and then it became one of my favorite songs to play live, and a lot of people's one of their favorite songs. But it was an interesting crossroads because it felt like much more of a contemporary rock song than a lot of the other songs that we've put out. A lot of the other ones get weirder and incorporate hip hop a little more. And there was this real temptation after that song started taking off of, like, maybe we should just make all the songs sound like that, because that feels like a thing that's working. But I chose not to do that. I feel like that song's a bit of an outlier. Some people are disappointed by that, and that's okay. People are entitled to, but I just wanted to keep it weird. So, anyone else have any questions? I love to talk. So, what's up, dude?
Well, first off, I want to say you're a big influence and like inspiration to me. I'm a songwriter myself and an artist. So,
What name do you make your music under?
Vandal, Vandel.
Vandal.
Yeah.
Sick name.
So, appreciate
Should have
it.
thought of that one.
Yeah, E is good. No doubt.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna
But
check it out.
anyway, but when I first heard your music, it reminded me of it was like something I hadn't heard before, and it kind of reminded me of like Linkin Park in a lot of ways. And I'm curious if like how you kind of came to the sound. And as a songwriter, I'm curious of like how you kind of developed it, because when you write a song like on the acoustic guitar and then transfer it over into like something like Bloodwater, which my roommate does EDM music, it's more like kind of EDM and rock, and then there's still obviously the acoustic kind of basis. You can always scale it back. So like, how did you come to that?
Yeah, there's a couple different questions there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We don't have any time constraints, right? I can chill. Oh, great, I'm chilling. There's a couple different
one of
ways.
the couches.
Yeah, you guys look comfy, so. There's a couple different questions there. Number one is how did we come to this sound, and number two is how do we actually write songs. For me, it was it's almost like in retrospect, hindsight's kind of 20/20. Like the path seems linear in retrospect, although I spent most of my mid-teen, from when I was 15 to about when I was 22, just like completely lost with no sense of direction in my life, period. Like I was in school, but I didn't know what I wanted to go to school for. I couldn't keep a job because I don't do very well with authority figures. And I was in a pretty confused headspace, but my first influences were classic rock, were like Led Zeppelin and The Who and like the Beatles. My dad was bringing home like Bill Withers was big, Ray Charles, some more blues. And it was when I was about 14 that I got obsessed with hip hop. I just got like totally lost. I was like that kid, like that scrawny little white kid with my braces, like listening to Biggie, like getting in trouble for smoking weed, like, you can't tell me what to do, Mom and Dad. That was really a phase that I went through that I was positive I was never going to come out of. Like, my clothes were super baggy, and like, oh man, I'm so happy that there are no pictures from that time. And so I was writing a lot back then. I was interested also in like battle rap. I was like freestyle rapping against other kids in my high school. It was like every Friday this kid would bring an MPC in, which is like a little drum pad that you can make beats on. He would like make a beat, and we would just like rap in the high school. Like it was so lame. But then I was pretty sure. Like I really had a hard time with confidence. I really didn't believe that I was going to be able to do music because I wasn't good enough at playing guitar. I didn't know you could just find like people like Ramon that love playing guitar and just have them play guitar. I thought I needed to be like everything, and I would look at artists like James Blake and be like, wow, like look at these like one-stop shops, these seeming like prodigies, and I was just never one of those. So I just felt like, well, this is just gonna be a hobby, a party trick, and I would go to house parties and just rap and whatever. And it was when I went to college that I got involved in like an a cappella group, and I just decided like I really do love music, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life, and I feel very lost, but I'm going to try stuff, and I like music. So I interned at a radio station, and I was singing in an a cappella group. I started DJing and being able to find hip hop music in that space, and that was like 2011, 2012. We're going on the deep dive, guys. And that was when like Avicii came to popularity, and electronic music was crossing into top 40, which gave way to trap music, which was already existing in Atlanta hip hop, but all of a sudden was now like an electronic scene, which both of these things are now all over pop music everywhere. I don't think anyone knew it at that time, but it was making the jump, and I got obsessed. And I was just in an experimental time in a lot of different ways. So it was really sticking with me. But I always felt like either I'm going to be the singer in something, or I'm going to be a rapper, or I'm going to be a DJ. And I couldn't find any success in any of them. Started rapping and actually got an opportunity to move to Los Angeles. That's when I started working as a songwriter for other bands and other projects. And I was trying to be like a creative consultant. I would sit in with a band, they would tell me what they were working on, play me music, and then together we would try and write something better than what they already had.